Hello, hello, Miss Deidre, and hello, Miss Saj.
Hi.
Hello, hello.
We were just um we were just laughing because we were like we didn't even know. I said I always feel a little bit like when we start these on a Sunday because I'm like I never know who's going to turn up. I don't know what the heck we're going to talk about. I don't like, and it's always just like God. I hope I don't sit here end up talking to myself. So you know, it's cool. So anyway, Miss Bronnie, I've got lots on my list for you. I was hoping like hell that you would turn up today. I really, really, really was because there's a whole lot going on, and bits and pieces in between that you need to share with some of the people in this group. It's kind of cool.
Oh, scary.
I know, but it's super cool. Um, and so, yeah, I was thinking, oh my God, I hope Bronnie comes on because I've got about a billion things written on my page for you. Saj, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Just counting the hours now. I don't want to count
Hi,
days anymore.
Sash.
I'm counting hours. Hi, Bronnie. How are you? How are you, Deidre?
Hi.
So your staff bailed out on Friday, Saj?
Staff, no. We're still in on Monday for in-person day, and then we go online. Well, staff go online from Tuesday till
Cool.
Friday. Tuesday there is a PD, but the rest of the week is like sign-in days. We on campus till Wednesday.
Okay. All right. Countdown's on. I don't know how many more times I can log into my Qatar Airlines flight and see if it's still there and how many more days it is till it's there and the countdown's on. And I'm like, 5:30 on Friday morning cannot come fast enough.
Well, I'm gonna start packing soon. Yeah.
So you should see Saj pack. Saj takes like the kitchen sink. I take photos of my two little carry-on suitcases, one for me and one for Michael, and on the odd occasion a great big suitcase full of stuff to take to Italy and drop there, and then we put the little suitcases inside to come back. Saj takes photos of like 12 suitcases and one of those jumbo trolleys at Abu Dhabi Airport.
Oh,
Well, okay, yeah, well, it's 12 suitcases when going, 6 carry-ons and 6 large suitcases. But when I come back from South Africa, then it's like 12 big, large cases, 6 hand luggage and backpacks. Like,
Do you have to take a van from the airport?
yes.
Oh my life. That's
And,
just
and and they fight with me at the airport. They're like, no, it's not going to fit in. And I'm like, I will show you. It will fit in. I'm not taking another bloody car. No way in
I'm
hell.
I so get that, Saj. Like I'm terrible. The Scottish in me comes out. And so I rent a car and then I'm like, no, I'm not paying that price. So I'll take one size smaller. And then the kids are like, but mum, and I like Tetris and I pack everything in and then I actually
Yeah.
take a photo so I
And
know
if they
where
need to,
everything
they need to
goes.
sit on
Yeah.
bags too. That's fine.
Yeah.
Like,
And
that's
so
it.
the last time that we were, four of us were together in Italy and we'd rented a car and mum had obviously had a blind spot and booked something that was slightly bigger. And we only had four of us, not five of us. And the kids, Molly and Elliot were in the back seat taking photos and sending them to Abby saying, ha, 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 look, we've got all this room. And look, we don't have to sit on bags. Mum made them, and so, yeah, if my kids get room, then it becomes a bonus. Have you got my favorite person with you, Saj?
Yeah, she's peeping to see who's there and what's happening.
Little Miss Lidana. Cool. Hey, we've got everybody today. Hello, Miss Nicola. And hello, Miss Ondi. And hello, Miss Annamat. Ondi, I've got a billion questions for you today. Anna, I've got a billion questions for you today. So thank you for joining. Don't run away.
okay. I'm only here till 5:30.
Excellent. That's fine. I can get you on board in that time. I do have one little shout out to Miss Nicola and to Miss Saj, actually, because their schools went through inspection recently and all their schools were like all the charter schools were just run through the mill. and Miss Nicola and Miss Sarge, both these schools have done incredibly well.
Well done.
And have
I
had
don't know
really,
if you'd say incredibly well,
you
Anna.
have to pull yourselves through. Like all the charter schools were audited, and there were a few that were caned, and you guys were not. And
Feels like we were caned because like the amount of input we have, like we're not getting bang for our buck actually. Like we have
sounds
to
like you
change
need to
some
go on a
stuff.
holiday, miss.
I definitely need a holiday for sure.
You absolutely need to go on a holiday. You need to stop and recognize the place that you're in and the celebrations that need to happen.
Well, I've worked on a massive project, Anna, for next year. I sat for 3 weeks in the conference room, not moving, because I sort of created a writing continuum from K to 6, but aligned it to standards and did a progression. So every grade level had to do a progression and the build up because of the arrow standards. So it was massive. And grade 6 was exciting for me because I've never been exposed to grade 6 curriculum before. And to work with that and just to get excited of what actually the children should be doing in grade 6, you know, I mean, podcasts and writing a school paper and being involved in all of those sort of things. You know, yeah, I'm hoping that whoever is leading our grade 6 would take that on board. But yeah, it was massive. It was a massive project to make sure everything was aligned and there was that progression that built up every grade level. So yeah, it was cool.
Excellent. I think that's super impressive to be doing that at the end of an academic year. Actually getting into all that scaffolding and all that hard work to then, you know, doing that then when all you really want to do is get out of there and think about holidays. Well, Sarge, that's a really cool segue because I wanted to say, Bronnie, you've been doing some stuff about the whole handwriting thing and you've got some stuff to launch and some stuff coming through the Middle East that some of these guys might want to know about. And Anna, this could be incredibly cool for the stuff that you're going to talk about with your new project in South Africa. So, Bronnie, tell us about it. It's cool. And don't sell it short. You're really good at selling short.
Where do I begin? Do you all notice my little background?
Yeah, love it.
Well, I had to put that up a couple of weeks ago because NZTE, which is New Zealand Trade and Enterprise, asked me to be on a panel with Dubai around doing business in the Middle East. It was called the Deep Dive Middle East. And so everybody else was, you know, there were two others on it. And yeah, so I thought, well, I'd just put that little background up, and I haven't removed it yet. I thought it would be appropriate for today.
Excellent.
But we're back up in the Middle East. In Dubai, I think where are we? I think we land on about the 14th. And we're quite excited because we've got an event that we've curated, or New Zealand Trade and Enterprise have asked us to do. And so we're going to be having a special, very select event out of the consulate in Dubai. They're all doing all the invites, they're doing all the little bits and pieces for us. So we've got, it's very small, perfectly formed. How does that sound? And at it, we're working with another company that we've done some work with, that we've guided along the way, and Miss Anna is using now, and we've merged to do some work with. And so we're going to be launching some work that we do around literacy specifically, and you know, that umbrella of literacy and how everything fits alongside it, particularly around English language learners, all sorts of things. And I can't say too much about it, but we will be launching our new product, which is AI based. And that, so we're going to launch that in the Middle East, and we're really excited about that because it has been a collaboration, and it's moved us firmly into the EdTech area, which is a really exciting area to be involved in, and an area that we've sort of moved into in the last, well, actually with some degree of speed over the last 6 months. For us in New Zealand, we've launched the first major AI and education conference. We only launched that 2 weeks ago, I think now, Anna, was it 2 weeks ago? Yeah. And so the sales for that have gone ballistic. We've got some side events that sit around side that, and we've got so far 750 confirmed to our side events. Waiting on another 250, and then the main event is 550. So we've got some really amazing things happening around that. That's really different. So a big thing for us around that is looking at obviously AI in education. We've got principals that are coming and bringing all their senior leaders. We're talking around policy. We're talking around practice. We're talking around the kinds of things, misinformation, all sorts of things, and doing lots of really exciting hands-on things. So our life is pretty busy, pretty busy in all sorts of areas.
Can you just tell us a little bit about what is the date for that? Where is it? And because you've got some people here online, like Deirdre might be super interested. Cam's just joined. He's only over in Melbourne.
Yeah, we've got Australians coming to it already, actually.
Yeah, but tell us a little bit more about it. Like, who have you got? What's the date for it?
Well, it kind of came out. Yeah, it kind of came out of, we went to EduLead in Singapore, if anyone's been to that before. And there are about 100 New Zealand principals there, and we talked to 54 of them. And they all said, you have got to bring this back to New Zealand. In particular, a woman called Holly Clark. Why we found her so engaging was because she was actually a classroom teacher first. She's not an academic. She was the first woman in the States to actually have a fully devised classroom. Then she's gone through, completed her PhD. She's on board with a lot of different AI platforms, which we've now linked with in terms of sponsorship that's going to be happening through the event. And that's so she's now the advisor to the White House. And so these principals all said, you've got to do something, guys. So we came home and we thought about it. And we actually surveyed all the principals that we had the addresses for that we'd met and said, okay, you guys, if you want something like this, what's it going to look like? What does it need to look like for you? What does it need to do for you? And we had all surveys back from all these guys that were there, and they told us what they wanted, because we think it's really important that we listen to, listen to the people, but, we need to make sure if we're going to do something that's going to be done, it's going to meet everybody's needs, not our desire to run something. Yes. So we're doing it at the end of the holidays. So was it the 20th? We're doing it that last week of January, Tuesday the 28th, I think it is, or 27th, whatever it is. Because principal said we want to use this as a callback day. So it's early enough. The planning has been early enough for them to say, okay, and they're bringing. One staff is bringing 20 staff to it. Some are bringing their whole staff. Some are bringing just their senior leadership. To the event. So we've got Holly speaking. We've also got some workshops. We started, I think, about 8 in the morning is our first thing. There was a real desire to have something that was going to give people a lot of opportunity to network. We are not one of those conferences where you've got an exhibition hall and everyone's selling their wares. It's not like that. It's around, we've got 6 sponsors that are there to sit and talk in a lounge kind of environment, so that you can sit and talk and really network and ask the questions that you want to ask. So and the big part is we finish with wine and cheese at the end of the day from 5 till 6. Most important part. So we are hoping, we're just waiting. We've had lots of questions. We're hoping that we've had lots of questions from the ministry, and we're hoping that the minister will open it and give the keynote. If not, it'll be Judith Collins, because she's in charge of where AI sits in the New Zealand technology space, if you like, and going forward. But we thought we'd give the Minister of Education the first chance. The big thing, though, about what we're doing, I think, was a little bit different, is that we actually want to move this forward, this AI forward. Because we think about what's happened in the technology that we have at the moment. It's taken some of us old girls, hands up, 25 years to get where we are, and man, I'm still nowhere near proficient. But with AI, we can't afford that. It's moving so fast. Our interests are not in us, it's actually in the kids and making sure that we serve the kids. So we think that if we've got 2 old tarts or broads or whatever you want to call us leading this, for so many older people that are, it's an aging workforce, that if we can show that we can do it, there's no reason you cannot use an excuse. Whereas if it was young people saying this is the way to go, it's got a totally different message. But the exciting part for us, Anna, is that what we're doing is anyone who has been to our events at the beginning of the year are going to be eligible to go to a special 3-day curated workshop program, which will end up with a qualification that comes out of it around AI. And they'll come together for 3 days in July next year. They'll be mentored by Holly. She'll continue to mentor them to the end of the year. And then next year, the year after's event, they will lead that event. We won't bring people from overseas to do it. We'll use our own homegrown expertise. And it kind of fits alongside where, I don't know if any of you have heard of the AI Forum, where that sits. It's an advisory group to the government. And there's 5 parts that sit in that. There's the creative arts, there's medicine, there's agriculture, there's big business, and now there's education. And so I'm on that forum, and what we're doing is suggesting to the government where we need to go, and education needs to be an integral part of that. So this is our bit for actually moving it forward, and at the breakneck speed that it has to be moved forward at. And I mean, so
couple of questions in there. Have you got a link? Or
yeah, I'll put that in the chat.
Where is it? What location are you doing it in?
It's Claudelands in Hamilton.
Oh, there we go, Deirdre.
Oh, I have a question, Bron. When are we having one in Dubai?
Well, that was my next question is, Bronnie, I know you'll be talking a little bit about this when we have the thing on the 27th of August at the consulate, and you'll be sharing a little bit about that, but there is certainly a market for it in our part of the world too. And
I'm happy to work with it.
My next question, and then what space are you going to bring that to our part of the world? Like Cam, Deirdre, those guys can all jump on in your part of the world, but how do we access it without it being just another online link? Because we want something live.
Yeah, well, this is the thing, is what we've done is, there's a little bit of theory at the beginning, and then we move through to the last 2.5 hours as all hands on. I mean, I did the most amazing stuff that really, I mean, I've been tinkering, we all tinker, but some of the stuff was with these different platforms was outstanding, so it has to be hands-on. It has to be face-to-face, Anna. Yeah. You're quite right. Okay, well, maybe we need to actually sit down over, and we'll have a quick little after and see, is it worth doing the kind of survey that we did with the New Zealand principals to see if there's the same kind of interest, and what do they think it needs to look like?
Interest is definitely there, Bron. Interest is definitely there. You don't even have to survey. I can tell you 100 to 1, you will have a full house for sure. And I mean, I think at this point you need to look at, okay, do we look at setting up a conference entirely like on our own, or do we jump on board onto the conferences that are already there? Because I know Teach Middle East with Lisa Grace, she's got a couple of going already on in the year, and she's looking for presenters and keynote speakers and all of that. Yeah. So do we utilize that platform? Because
I think it'd be nice to just do your own, and then I'm also thinking of some of those other things that I know that Bronnie's company's launching in terms of this technology stuff that will really help with some of our learning development and things in schools, and then actually the whole questioning thing and differentiation by support, which is that whole avenue that comes for us out of Bronnie's and Naomi's questioning tools. But then I'm also looking, we've got some incredible presenters and things here that we need access to. Like, Ondi, your stuff hasn't hit us yet. Like, we have so much going on in terms of developing that readiness for learning, and we're in a void. We haven't got access to stuff. So, there's a massive
we're flat out an Aussie, actually, Campbell.
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
Must look.
Sorry, carry on. That's beside the point. Carry on.
Your friend's written you a letter. Anna loves Liana.
Anna loves Liana loves Anna. I love that. That's awesome. I do love her to bits. Bronnie, before you finish up, anything else you want to tell us about that AI space? And I want to hear just a little bit from you because I want to flick over to Ondi after this. But Naomi was talking to me earlier in the week all about the buzz on handwriting. And I know what's the story, and then this links perfectly into Ondi stuff. But handwriting is the new buzz all over New Zealand.
Well,
Bronnie?
probably internationally for the last probably 5 years, actually. Yeah.
Jump in, guys. Tell us.
Go, Bron.
We've been watching the airwaves because every man and his dog is on doing something around handwriting. There are programs and you can put up a different slide each day. There's a book of this. There's a whole raft of things that are quite different. And finally, they're getting the message that, you know, there is a big difference between doing this and this. And they use two totally different parts of the brain. This part of the brain doesn't create the memory. It doesn't create where we need to be going, whereas this does. However, there's a challenge with, I've got to be careful, I can't say too much because we'll give some of the stuff away with the confidentiality thing that we've got that we can't release yet. And there's some stuff, there are some changes with digital, and people are starting to use their laptops to handwrite, and it's not successful for a number of reasons. And we've solved that problem.
Yeah.
And which is really, really exciting. And what it means is that we'll have a program that children can work on independently. The teacher can set individual lessons. The parent can set lessons if they want to. The child gets immediate feedback around what they've done correctly or incorrectly. It's assessed straight away, and it can be done using a number of different texts, whether it be Arabic, different Chinese, Japanese, or the text that we use. So it's really exciting.
So I'm gonna jump over to Ondi after this, but what I'm really interested in is how we can use this in class, because what a lot of teachers do is they give handwriting as a fill-in task, a practice task, and we end up drawing letters, making letters incorrectly. And I am absolutely no expert, but I know Ondi is, and the brain development side of this and why it is so important. But, you know, just as a product of it, Saja's girls have just been sitting GCSEs and A-level, so they're, you know, year 11 and year 13 exams. If you are writing a history exam and you can't write fast enough and clear enough, and you haven't got that speed, you are just going to fail the exam to start with. Like all three of my kids did history, and the output in the history exam was so huge that it was exhausting, and you need to build that stamina in writing to start with and that fluency. But, you know, me, I don't write Arabic. I don't speak Arabic very, very well. And anytime I've got to write something in Arabic, I actually copy and draw. I cannot make an Arabic letter to save myself fluently. And it's really, really bad. So, Ondi.
That's the big thing with structured literacy, Anna, is that it's very much that move away from doing independent handwriting activities. Handwriting must be done with the teacher or with someone as part of that, because they really focus on that fine motor, you know, the holding the pencil, and then they focus on that letter formation, because, you know, as we know, with the little kids, they use that visual clue first, so they actually use it visually, they draw it rather than actually, you know, doing the shape correctly. And so it is very much done with the teacher rather than away. So it sounds like, Bronnie, the stuff that you're doing will be great, because they'll be able to do that and get that feedback straight away on, you know, their hand grip and their writing and their stuff like this. Will it have the resistance? Because I know with learning handwriting, you know,
yes, it does. That's the problem we've solved.
Brilliant. Because the best thing we know that teaching kids to handwrite is actually with chalk and on because it gives that resistance, and it needs to be upright so that you're using this part of the body. And we know that so many of our kids are just doing it on the table there, which is not developing, and that fine motor is not good. Yes, Anna.
Yes, Andy, I have lost it from my phone and I need it back because it was in my old phone. You have this hold narration, and it was the most impactful thing I did when I was running PD, talking about the teaching of handwriting and going back to why we must have a strong core, like
Yep.
strong core muscles and the connectivity. Can you tell us that? Because
Okay.
all your philosophy and things behind that. And if you guys haven't got it, we're going to get Andy's the link to Andy's book, Ready for Learning, to start with in there and put that with you guys too, because all the stuff behind it has been absolutely the reason why every space in my school has a carpet space and a floor space, while all my kids have to have time working on the floor every day to build their core muscles. And we do masses and masses of gross motor to build fine motor, and not getting stuck on just going straight to fine motor. And
Brilliant.
It's all
We've got
because
from the
of
outside.
your work and your book, that foundation stuff. Our kids in our environment do not get enough on building that, starting from their core, and the learning to see and learning to hear stuff.
Yeah. Well, it's
So,
interesting because, like, our New Zealand research, you know, the MSD, Ministry of, you know, Auckland University one that came out, God, what was it called? Ronnie, what's it called? The MSD Auckland University one, you know, followed 6,000 kids from birth through to seminal, huge, and showing that 25% of our kids are starting school developmentally delayed, and it's all in that movement area. And then that fits in with all other international research, and the biggest one is that movement, and so which is that core strength. And we know that kids, to be able to sit up, is the highest form of balance is sitting up, and so they have to have a core strength and that balance for that. And then they've got to have that gross motor, that shoulder girdle development, before they can even have that fine motor. And we've got so many kids for all sorts of different reasons. They're container babies, so they've been used to sitting in these containers. They some of them haven't even developed that vestibular because they've if they've been breastfed, great, but if they've been bottle fed, sometimes parents don't alternate, so they haven't even got that. They haven't developed the vestibular, so we need lots of swinging and other things like that for those kids. So yeah, for developing that handwriting, as Bronnie said, yeah, it's upright, even getting kids lying on the floor and drawing in things underneath the table and paper, any chalkboards you've got up there for doing that sort of motion, great. And then that really developing that fine motor, because it's the biggest thing that we're finding with the kids with starting with handwriting at that very early age, is they learn the incorrect, you know, pencil grip, and then that does hold it, you know, if it's that's going to cause impact here when they're older, when they're writing, and yeah, all of those. So
there's a whole thing. You have this thing, and it says something, I need to develop my core, which then develops my shoulder, which then develops my elbow. And then once I've got this, then it comes down to my hand, and then I can finally get to this stuff. And so, you know, there's a reason why we have monkey bars. There's a reason why we skip and hop and jump. And people think I'm mad when I was working and introducing the readiness for learning assessments and things like this. But what do you mean? We should be getting on and teaching letters and numbers and doing ABC, you know, and high frequency words and all of that stuff. And I'm like, that's great. Our kids will power through that. And when they get to grade 2, when they're on that next development, physical development burst, they're just going to forget it all, and it's not going to work. That they start to go backwards there. Their peers that have actually had the strong foundations take over and leave them in the dust.
Yeah,
you know,
that's why I think so our trust focuses very much on supporting parents and whānau and developing that, and then the work we're doing is more with those ECEs, because actually they need it before they even hit school. and we know with the corpus callosum not closing until 7, and kids developmentally they develop at different stages, we know that, but there's a lot of stuff that they're not getting that they did 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Kids aren't. We don't have the monkey bars that we did when we were kids. They didn't have that swinging. A lot of kids aren't running around out and they haven't got trees to climb in their own backyard, like we did sort of 30, 40 years ago. Yeah. Some of the ECEs, I look at some of the ECEs that we work in some of the cities, and they're just, oh my God, there is just small outside space for them to play and to climb, and some of them are still really in that risk factor where they're looking at the risks of climbing and falling and things, rather than actually they need that because of risk analysis, and that's all part of that development as well. That's all part of developing. Oh, sorry. Anyway, carry on.
No, well, I'm just going to jump in on all of that. Like, Deidre, when you and I worked together, we had it absolutely mandated in our school that they had to do fitness every single morning. And it wasn't necessarily about building your fitness level. It's about oxygenating your brain and actually getting some of that good movement going on. And that our teachers had to teach PE 3 or 4 times a week on top of doing daily fitness. But that oxygenating and getting out, like Elliot rings me at the moment, and I'm the parent that gets he rings his father at the same time, 2 minutes later, and he's got the mate, bloke thing going on, but I'm getting the mum crisis because I'm stressing out about going into this exam, and my advice is go for a run and just let your brain settle and get some oxygen going. And time for a run. Get down onto that treadmill, it's just downstairs, and go and run. But I'm fighting at the moment a bureaucratic funding battle, and they're saying, oh, maybe you should reduce your schedule to 1 PE lesson a week. And I'm like, absolutely not. I can't let go of 2 PE lessons a week because my kids need the physical movement. And we do PE, formal PE twice a week, but they have 2 breaks a day where they've got to be outside and they have to run. And I think that's so important for brain power and academic success. And then we often get pushed to the Nordics, what's happening in Sweden, what's happening in Finland. And I noticed, like, when we traveled through there, all the little kids until they're teenagers live their lives in snowsuits and boots. And it's not because mum's taking them from one place to the other. Is because they live their lives outside. Even if it is freezing damn cold, every early childhood centre has their kids outside in the cold every day, learning and touching and battling and walking around and being pretty damn fit. Look at those Nordic areas, and they might be the bloody middle of winter, but they ride bikes. Now, the whole thing of riding a bike is all that developmental stuff.
Yeah, they start school later at around 7, and their focus is purely on foundation skills beforehand, purely on foundation skills. And I don't think we can compare our country, education with theirs. They're quite a monoculture. It's
absolutely different financial support, different socioeconomic systems,
and even how teachers are valued. All of that sort of stuff. But yeah, it is interesting how they. Anyway.
Yeah, but that element really, really, really jumps out for me. It's huge.
I'll jump in there, Anna, because I agree. For us, physicality is one of the major things that has to happen every day. If we don't, our kids lose focus. They're not even ready to learn when they come into the classroom, and a lot of our learning through play stuff is outside as well. Even when it's raining, we've got covered in spaces. You're out there, you're mucking in, you're doing stuff. And the only real rule is that you have to have a change of clothes because I can't send you home muddy. But it's about being physical, and climbing trees is a big thing for us because as you get older, it becomes a real strategic event. So you have to strategize where you're going to go next. And then when you're getting down, there's even greater strategies in play. So I think for us, it's a really important thing, and it brings them into the learning space, into the formal learning space with a much better mindset.
It's so interesting what you guys are saying, because I was having a conversation or discussion yesterday with some people, in fact, and I said, like, how many of us, as we were growing up, because we spend so much more time outdoors than on devices indoors, that we had less learning difficulties than we find these days, because it's so easy for them just to put a label, or this one has a learning difficulty or a disability, that now they need to be on the spectrum, and all of these sort of things. But it's just about them not having those opportunities to develop cognitive approaches, because they haven't done, like you said, that crossing the midline and spending enough time outside. And I find in this region, especially because of the heat, we tend to shy away from the children going outdoors, rather than working out a schedule where we could allow every class an opportunity to be outdoors at a given time, or providing those outdoor spaces where it is a bit cooler, putting the netting up, giving them some coverage space, but still allowing them to be outside. And everything has to be padded, because we're so concerned that the child will fall and get hurt. But that's part of growing. That's part of learning. We actually, well, while we're trying to shield them from getting hurt, we're actually shielding them from active learning. And that's the sad part of it.
Well,
Saj,
I don't know, been in the career a long time there, Saj, but the most broken arms I ever see are with 8, 9, and 10-year-olds. And that's because they're learning to take risks, and because they are feeling a little bit more confident and getting a bit cocky in life, and they are doing those physical things. What's fortunate for like you guys and Nick and those guys in their schools is that you have massive indoor pod spaces, and they are so underutilized in terms of physical activity teaching spaces. I know in the last few weeks of school, we've started to hit the high humidity, the high temperatures, and we're in the 40s here. And I've had parents at me, no, the kids shouldn't be going outside for breaks, and we don't have big indoor spaces in our building, bar the gym. And I've said, no, they'll keep going outside. I don't care how much they sweat and whatever they're doing. I'll just put more water coolers outside. And that's my option. They're only out.
We can invest in those fans with the water sprays, Anna. Like,
well, I did. Saj, we went down, and not actually for the children, because we've actually got chickens and the kids have raised chickens and built chicken houses and things like that. I went and bought a water cool spray fan, and it cost me nearly 1,000 dirham for our chickens, so that the chickens could stay outside. Ondi, your conference, when's that happening?
10th of October.
Right, tell us, because people need to plan.
Well, what is it? We have 2 keynotes. We have 35 face-to-face workshops. For all of those are pre-recorded, plus we have some bonus ones. So we have about 40 workshops that people can look online. So last year we had, I suppose, about 350 online and about 250 odd face-to-face. So this year it's looking to be a lot more than that, which is really exciting. It's for teachers for basically 4 to 8-year-olds. So it's that crossover. So one of the biggest things, and the conference came about from actually our facilitators and working in schools, because so many of the schools were saying, and our kindies were saying, God, it'd be great if we could actually have more, that dialogue between that. And so that was really, it was awesome actually. And we saw lots of primary ones that booked in for doing ones that were really geared for the kindergartens, and kindergartens that were really geared for even the beginning one. So yeah, it was great, and it was really neat. The groups were always sort of mixed, half and half kindy and primary teachers, and it made for great discussions. Fabulous facilitators that we've got presenting. And
what's the date for it?
10th of October, which is the last Thursday of term 3 holidays, so that people have got another day or two up their sleeves to go and do stuff. So yeah.
And
so this year we've
is it?
seen it's in Auckland at Western Heights Primary School.
Okay. You're going to send us links, eh?
Okay, I can do that.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. I'm just writing this down so that I've got it. It's so important that we know about this stuff, the whole keeping current, but actually accessing this stuff, because we all want to know how to do it, but we don't know where to go to get it.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that I think that people liked was the ones that attended, actually, that they could still see all of the other workshops that they'd wanted to see, and that we say that they've got 5 months to look at them, but we ended up stretching it out. So they've got 6 months to look at the 40 online learning modules, for $170, which we've kept it really cheap, actually, to make it affordable. So we've got lots of schools that are bringing, like 20 of their teachers. We had a 17, a 10 book the other day. So you can do that when it's really affordable. We make it as a not-for-profit. This is a not-for-profit. We're not making money out of it, because this is once again, it's our giving back to the teaching community,
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
you were just in Australia. What were you doing there?
Right, so we were presenting at the early childhood conference over there, which is really good. But we've got some early childhoods that were using our framework and everything over there, that had said, well, will you ever come over? And we'd said, oh, look, we're coming over, sort of thing. And so then we were approached by the Independent Schools Queensland, which has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of early childhoods. And so they've now, so we did some workshops for them over there, and we completed a whole lot of online learning modules for them that are targeted specifically for their, hiya, Cam. Have you heard of Kindy Uplift, Cam?
What's that,
Kindy
sorry?
Uplift have you heard of Kindy Uplift in Queensland?
No, I haven't, no.
Oh, okay. What's amazing about it is that their government is putting in millions and millions of dollars into their early childhood, because surprisingly, they found out that actually, if we get kids, performing really well by the time they hit school, instead of starting behind and always staying behind, they'll have these. So Independent Schools Queensland have contracted us now for, we've got some online learning courses that are in each of their areas of, so one's in physicality and executive function, and the maths and the literacy. So for each of those areas, and the courses that take a couple of months to do, it's got their assessments, it's got the lots of video. We do lots of video, and we've created so many resources. And then for Independent Schools Queensland, we are doing communities of practice. So the kindies that have opted in for those, we then have Zoom sessions, coaching sessions with them. Every few weeks, we've got the different ones happening. And then from that, we've now just been contacted by their Department of Education to say that they'd seen some of our stuff and they'd heard about it, and they'd like us to go and put a proposal to them. So we're going back in September to do some face-to-face stuff, which we don't want to do lots of face-to-face stuff, because for us, we don't want to go and we want to actually travel, but not, have to go away, if you know what I mean. So we want to do.
That's right. When I'm sick of being here, you can put me in Queensland, and I'll go and live in Queensland or Melbourne, and for a bit.
So do you know what I mean? We don't want to have facilitators. We don't want to have to have facilitators over there, because that's just another hassle. That's not what we want.
I am not a hassle. I'm a problem, but I'm not a hassle. All right.
Yeah. So we like the face-to-face stuff, but it will be to set up for other stuff, and the idea is having that people can do the self-paced learning, and it's really interactive and really hands-on. So yeah, we're really excited about that. So Yeah, and then we've had some schools that the kindies have obviously gone back and talked to them, and so the schools are wanting us to come in because they're noticing that, surprisingly, they've got 5-year-olds starting school that aren't quite ready, and so yeah, so we're quite excited about all of that.
Your camera's just dropped off, Miss Andrea.
I don't know why.
Yeah. Anyone got questions
I'm
for Isaac?
available too for Queensland any day.
Yeah, you're early childhood trained.
Yeah,
Goodness me.
yes, yeah, it's very exciting.
That's pretty cool. Like I got a bit of a buzz this week actually from you, Bronnie, when I was having a chat, and you actually saying that you'd jumped into some of our leadership and pictures stuff to set up some learning from accessing that. Can you just tell these guys? Because I know, Saj, sometimes you are like, okay, what can I do for PD? And Nick, you're the same. But what did you do from there in terms of like, you guys have all got access to some of the stuff that we do?
I got approached by a local principals association. They've got 25 members. And they said, oh, yeah, we know your stuff. Okay, yeah, because I've done bits and pieces for them over the years. And they said, oh, I want you to do something really punchy for us. I'm going, okay. When am I going to find time to do lots of reading and lots of organising to find something really cool? And I thought, I know exactly where I'm going. So I went to Anna's page and I had a look at all sorts of different books and I read all the different reviews that Anna had done, all those lovely posters. I thought, yep, I can do that. And so I sorted out the book that I needed to buy, bought the book, read it, and pulled something together, and it's now turned into, I've got another 3 principals associations on the back of that want me to do the same work with them, and it's kind of grown. I did too much as I always do, and it's grown into sort of from a it's basically it's a half-day session, and I'm really pleased with it. So thank you, Anna. You gave me the okay. Oh my God, they gave me the brief. Where do I begin? And I wanted to do something that was completely different and challenged me. And because that's what I find at the moment, I don't get enough time to do the professional reading that I need and that I enjoy. And so Anna kick-started me with a good kick up the bum, finding something that was going to be exciting and interesting, and I did it, and I'm really pleased with it.
I was so excited.
Not telling you,
Oh.
not telling you which book. But thanks.
I was super excited to hear that, because actually I was sitting, a couple of things have come across my table recently. I was sitting at a table at an IB leaders training and things, and this guy was sitting next to me and he said, oh, you're that person. Oh, I've seen your stuff online. And he said, my boss actually follows your stuff and takes your stuff. And every week he takes whatever you're talking about and does a PD with our middle leaders based on whatever your topic is for the week. And he said, so I see your stuff all the time. And so it was a really interesting conversation to have. And really interesting, because the big throw through here at the moment is all about that early years development. It's about the literacy learning and things that's coming through with you guys, but massive focus going into the new academic year. We had our big meeting. We have once in term, we have a meeting with the government and our provider, the people that direct us, and principals are brought in and directly accountable for their results and what's going on. And the massive steer is about middle leadership. And Saj has had the same feedback through her system. But okay, you've got senior leaders doing senior leader stuff. And we know from the Simon Sinek stuff is it breaks in the middle. Senior leaders have their visions and their ideas. Classroom practitioners are getting feedback from observations, whether that's worthwhile or not is a whole nother discussion. But the system breaks in the middle because middle leaders are put into jobs and don't know what they're doing, don't get the support they need, don't get the direction they need. And I know for us, we call our middle leaders our first team. And they're the first team that we have to sit alongside and build and develop and things crack when they don't know what they're doing. If they're not strong and skilled and going stemming along, then they're not going to be able to offer the support when we're not there, and the right type of support to the teachers that need it. And so a massive focus at the moment is middle leadership development, and that's going to be rolling out through here in bucket loads in the next 18 months, 2 years, like massive government focus. But also high accountability for middle leader performance as a result. We work in a high stakes, high accountability environment, but that's where the massive push is. So yeah, really interesting stuff. Saj, you had something to say about that earlier in the week.
Yeah, well, Anna, you know, it's like kind of twofold, because I think the middle leadership, being that I was in that role not too long ago, is the most difficult leadership segue, if I may say, because you're fully classroom committed, and you're still having to lead teams, and I mean the teams are massive. I remember when I stepped into the grade level lead position, it was a team of 12 teachers, 375 students, 12 teachers, 12 TAs, 375 students that ultimately I was responsible for. And I'm so grateful for having you there at that point, to help guide and lead that, because it was like running my own mini school.
Mm-hmm.
And when I look at the GLLs that I'm working with currently, they are nowhere near to what I was doing at that time, but also the support that I was given to do what I could do at that time. So my biggest thing when we're sitting around the table as senior leadership was, okay, we have these expectations of the GLL, but where are we providing them with the time? Where are we providing them with the professional development that allow them to be able to do their role effectively?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, for example, I've got a grade 1 lead, and she's an outstanding practitioner. She's hitting outstanding lesson observations every single time. You would love her class. Set up like a crime scene, you know, that's the type of learning that happens in her class. And she's got AI big in her class, where there's this Emirati man giving them their mission for every group of what they're needing to do. So it's amazing. The children are excited. But then it's like, how is she being able to share that across to her team when she doesn't have the time to be in their classes, to be able to co-teach, to be able to tag teach, you know? And that was the argument I was having, is to, are we putting too many other admin task driven on the GLLs rather than having that impact of a group?
Well, that's a decision that we made as SLT, is that one, our SLT meetings will not focus on admin, and two,
it's too much admin. Like,
our,
it's all task oriented.
Distracted by admin and paper as opposed to teaching and learning. And the other is there's nothing in our grade level leaders, our team leaders' job description to do with admin. There's nothing. They're not allowed to worry about the buses. They're not allowed to worry about meetings and things coming up. Their job is to teach, talk about teaching and learning. Now, I'm going to switch to Mr. Cam, because this is his baby. This is what he is hot to trot on. Go,
Could you
Mr.
hear
Cam.
me? Green, Anna.
Go.
Well, firstly, I just love the conversation around exercise and reminding myself how important that is for children and that strength development. We've recently been mandated to be focusing on phonics, just to bring you into the Victorian system. So we have to teach phonics in our first 3 years of school for 30 minutes every day. Andrea, you might like to get on that one, because it's going to be huge, and they're looking for different approaches, and they haven't said what we have to do. But in terms of, yeah, that whole, middle leadership, it's such an exciting space, isn't it? And it's something that I am really passionate about. If you're talking about meetings, Anna, getting into that space of, if you're going to have any admin, it has to be in that last 5 minutes, and you almost have to limit it. And you limit it to the, that sort of pressure of the end of meeting, I think makes a big difference. And focusing on the things that do make a difference to students' learning. That's probably one of the biggest things I'm passionate about. and making sure the agendas are so tight that you can't shift from that work, and so someone really has to be monitoring and controlling the agendas. And I know that sounds controlling, but it ensures that we don't shift our emphasis off instructional leadership, and that's my baby that I'm always trying to drive. And then I think in meetings too, we can tend to throw a lot on middle leaders by saying they're the leader in the team, and I think by rotating roles is another magnificent tool to get everyone else to step up. And it doesn't mean that person's still not the leader of the team, but people taking responsibility for different parts of that collaboration and working together. So define roles. So you're probably all very familiar with the note taker and the whoever's looking at the norms and whoever's facilitating the meeting on that day. It just builds that capacity of everyone in the team. It's probably the biggest thing that I've learned in my current school is just really great meetings, and Tanya, my assistant principal, has been brilliant at rolling that out and following. And I think I've mentioned here before the
planning.
I'm trying to think what the whose model we're using. It's one of the Harvard. I think it's the Harvard model of good meetings. I'm just trying to think what it's called. But anyway, that's been amazing. So yeah, just my 2 cents.
Cam, I think the one thing that we took off from you, I remember a couple of sessions ago, where you spoke about the leaders being in those planning collaborative meetings, and that has been so impactful. It has been great. Amazing.
Like I look after grade 4. I'm in with grade 4. I'm their little assistant. I copy things if they need coming out of a meeting so that they can move forward. I'm their thorn in their side. They love me and they hate me, but I'm grade 4 and I'm no shame about it. I love it.
And Anna, you would remember me going death by meetings. Like I used to get so frustrated being called into unnecessary meetings, like every second. So let's have a meeting about it. Let's have a meeting. No, actually, there are things you can just put in an email. We all are very capable to read, just get it done.
And it's oh, sorry, go ahead.
So it is powerful to be in those spaces, and we've committed already 2.5 years to that work. We're not just the principal class now, but the sort of next tier of leader in that meeting as well. And sometimes we're sitting there, maybe a little bit redundant, but it's those little things that you just pick up on, and you go, oh, that could have taken the team quite a way off the mark, off track, and it just, using that analogy of, following that straight old line. And it just keeps everyone, on track, really clear. If they've got questions, they can bring it to you and not have that, classic scenario we hear in schools. Oh, we didn't realize that. We've been doing this for the last 6 months. I can guarantee that doesn't happen in my school because we're there catching it and explaining as needed.
And I think that's it, is that I'm in grade 4, my VP's in grade 3, my learning coach is in grade 2, my head of inclusion's in grade 1, and we're there, we're present, we do all the stuff. We deal with any parent interest or any parent complaint or anything. We are part of that team. But the just-in-time PDs that come from that, you're just having a discussion and then we end up wandering through the building and actually doing a PD in the middle of a planning meeting because they need that next level. But the hard part for me is then how do you explain that to our inspecting system that says, tell us your PD plans and and that we have some PD mapping and things, but actually the most powerful learning is actually not during your PD time. It's actually in this just-in-time space,
I'm with you. I can imagine the expectation was really, really tricky, but I'm just so blown away by the professional learning that happens in those meetings now. When staff actually talk about how they're going to teach something, when they share an approach to maths that a sort of graduate teacher may not be familiar with, or the sequence of learning. One thing I sort of keep saying to my boss is that we now have every staff member having another 40 weeks of the school year, 3 hours of these conversations, another 120 hours of professional conversation focused on teaching and learning. Multiply that across my team. Think about how much extra conversation is now happening, and that's the professional learning in our school.
Absolutely.
And what's really impactful is when you have a person in the team, in that collaborative planning, where you've got somebody that's more math driven and another that's science driven and another that's English,
Yeah.
that integration just comes so flawlessly because they all can just see the links. But if you have them in those separate English teams and math teams and science teams, you lose out on that opportunity. And also the person that is more data driven, it's about knowing your key players in the teams and having access to them. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you in those teams and you find those key players, you know how to then make your next year's teams. You know who brings what to a team, how to get that balance right, and so it's and you don't run that risk of having a team of, oh my goodness, the chemistry's not right, the makeup's not right. You really know your people.
Yeah, and that's why I disagree even at senior leadership when you like, oh, everybody needs to be a access guru, Excel guru, and you need this one to be the curriculum guru. But then it's like, actually, you need to know your players and know who you need to go to for what, and utilize their strengths in that way, rather than having a jack of all trades and master of none.
Working genius, like knowing everyone's zones of genius and things.
Absolutely.
Kim, I want to pick up because I know we're getting near the end of the time, and Andy's going to disappear on me in a minute. But I actually think we need to teach our middle leaders a little bit about leadership. They need to know their shit about curriculum, big time, and pedagogy. We need to teach them to be facilitators.
Yeah.
To facilitate and to connect with people and to really, really understand those genius types in their teams and how to bring about bringing that next layer of genius out of their people too. We don't teach our teams to do that. They come in there thinking they've got to be in control.
Do everything. They've got to do everything. Yeah.
But the art of facilitation, I just keep coming back to it. You need to be a facilitator in the classroom, not the guru. You need to be a facilitator as you lead your teams, and strategic, teaching them how to be strategic and use time wisely.
I got a really nice message from one of my teachers that I was again as a grade level lead, and she is now in a middle leadership position, and she won an award for her excelling in her middle leadership position. And she's like, Saj, I have to say that it's thanks to your leadership that I was able to reach to that position as a classroom teacher, the amount that you were able to share with us. And because you did that delegation so well and utilized us in that way, that it wasn't just you doing everything, it was you giving us roles and responsibilities that allowed us then to step into that next middle leadership role. So that was quite nice. Yeah.
Just flicking back to the way that people use different things that we all produce and we all make. And this week I put out, this last week I put out a blog about the difference between a boss and a leader. Mm-hmm. And I never know who's reading what. And we've just had this week some farewells and some, all our teachers have gone on holiday as of Thursday, Friday. And so the leadership team is still in for another week before we hit the thing. And they gave me this beautiful gift that I totally wasn't expecting, but probably the biggest gift was, I've had two things this week. I had a little label from a child that said, "To Miss Anna, I love you. You are the best principal ever."
Oh.
And I was so excited because she spelled every word right and she got finger spaces. And oh my God, she knows English now. She knows English. I was like, alhamdulillah, 2 years of learning. I'm going to keep that because it's a model of English. But the other one was from our team, and they gave me this little card, and thank you for everything. We appreciate you. But they said, a boss has the title, a leader has the people. Thank you for being the best leader. And I thought, oh my God, that is so humbling. It's so profound. It was just, one, they're reading the shit I put online, but two, they're really, really thinking about it, and it was just so delightful to get,
And I've got a thought, if you don't mind me just throwing it in.
Yeah.
just the biggest thing we're finding with any leaders coming through is them thinking they have to lead from the front. They have to be the knight on the shining, on the horse, sort of thing, and getting them to just realize that it's not that at all, and it's about I guess in many cases just having we use an approach called coachable moments.
Yeah.
And we see so many opportunities or moments to coach, and people might hate that word coach. We sort of don't like it either, but it sort of helps us describe there's an opportunity, and that's what that leadership is, and step in there without giving everyone the answers and telling them what's right, without having that that advice monster on your shoulder, but just taking those coachable moments seems to be the biggest shift we've been able to get with our middle leaders. It's not about being the biggest or the best or the most knowledgeable, and in fact it's about being vulnerable and not knowing the answer as much as anything, and we're finding that's helping a lot with our work.
Absolutely. I'm reading this book here at the moment. I don't know if we can see it. Sorry, my background's a bit is fuzzy, but I'm reading it, and I'll give you guys this in a few weeks' time. It's called Turn the Ship Around.
Nice.
And I haven't read it. I've read other books of his, and now I'm getting into this, and I'm like, oh my, because like on Wednesday, I'm starting a beta trial of my third course, and that I've been writing, and it's called Productive Disruption. And so I've got 5 leaders joining me to trial that course over 14 weeks. And it's about holding on to what you know is right, and then creating a way to bring people with you, and the intentional leadership that goes in and around this. And this book is a guy in the Navy, and who just does that. And I'm just so enthralled. Like I'm stuck in this book. I'm reading it by the beach. I'm reading it by the pool. I'm reading like it's just such a totally different environment to the one that we work in. But it's all about not building leadership capacity and using those sorts of words, but really, really intentional leadership and building that deep sense of ownership by the team. And like I'm only halfway through it, and I'll be through it by the end of the weekend probably. But the intentional talk that comes out of that, and teaching everybody, instead of asking for permission, coming with intention. I intend to do XYZ with my team. And so there's that sense of ownership and that sense of responsibility and things that goes with it. And I think building that capacity in our teams and our leadership teams, our middle leaders, our leaders without a title, of intentional talk. And with intention becomes responsibility, but ownership and depth and accountability, all those things that we want. So watch this space for that one. That one, if you want to book over the winter break or the summer break, depending which part of the world you're in, but Turn the Ship Around. It's a pretty interesting one. Easy read, but really good. It gets you into Navy speak.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a good one. Before we finish up, Miss Anna, what are you doing? You've got a change. You've got something pretty exciting happening.
Hello.
All the way there in South Africa. Come on.
All the way in
cold.
It's cold. It's early morning. It's just getting light. So please excuse me. Good morning, everybody. Yes, we're starting a little farm school, forest-based. Deirdre, I'm listening to your mud and out in all weather. That is where we are going. We've got geese. We've got pigs. We've got the most intentional little teacher that is joining us there. So yes, we're expanding both ways a little bit.
And
sure. So I messaged Andy. I said, Andy, her Ready for Learning is one of the books going in there with me. Bronnie's Green Book of Language Development is another book going in there with me. And yes, we are excited. We've got little people from 2.5 years up till 5, possibly 6. We'll see. But I'm very interested. Who was it, Andy, that was saying that that gap or that bridge between the 5-year-olds and going up into the 7, 8-year-olds? So, yes. Yay.
And you're doing some work in building teacher capacity.
Yes. So teachers, South Africa, it's a lovely little teacher. She comes with Montessori, Waldorf, Reggio Emilio, a lot of different approaches. And then having to look at a way to tie it all together, to bring it all together and bring in the informal approach to the phonics and yes. Everything.
Anamat, I'm in South Africa in 2 weeks' time, so shout if you need anything.
Oh, lovely, Saj. Are you coming to Cape Town?
Oh gosh, no. It's too cold, Anamat. I'm not coming to Cape Town. I feel cold here in the desert.
Ach, no.
I will not manage Cape Town.
Deirdre, I think you need a trip to Cape Town. I think
Yeah.
you need to go.
Sounds like a plan.
You know?
So, yeah, and
Yes,
Deirdre,
later in the year.
Yeah.
what is really exciting is your really little your little school and our little school, because it's bloody different dynamics when you have 10 and when you have 1,000. Yes.
I'm very, very serious. Deirdre, later in the year, that should be your probably next point, is to go and Anna will pick
When
you up
it's
from the
warmer,
airport.
100%, Deirdre. I'll join you when it's warmer.
Exactly. Right, team, we might wind it up there. There's some very, very cool things. Bronnie, can you send us links to
The
stuff
link
going
is in
on?
the chat. The link is in
Groovy.
the chat for the conference. Yep.
I'll put all of this back in our group and I'll send it out in an email to you guys so that if anyone's interested in any of those conferences and those connects and things coming up, if you are UAE based and you're absolutely desperate to go and be part of this little consulate thing, maybe flick Bronnie a little email and say, hey, please pick me, because she has got a limited number of spaces and things available. But Bronnie and I are doing some facilitation with a couple of others around people on that invitation list. So it's on my birthday. So if you do happen to come in the UAE, you have to bring a gift. Oh, sorry, no. You have to be prepared.
Naomi and I are bringing ourselves. Your gift. With Vogel's bread.
Vogel's, please. Loaf of Vogel's. That's all I need.
I will bring you samosas, Anna. I will bring you samosas.
Oh, people know gifts to my heart. Vogel bread. I tell you what I got this week. It was like a bonus. One of my teachers had to go home for an emergency, which was all sad. But she brought me back some split muffins. I was like, oh my life. Fruits. We're so cheap to keep, entertained. Anyway, winter break for some people coming up, operations for some people to get themselves through. And for some of us, we're going out of this place and going to breathe different oxygen and drink different wine and be enjoying different spaces by this time next week. Alhamdulillah.
Well, pray for me. I'm going to South Africa, which is not very safe, Anamat. I'm just so sorry to tell you, but I'm terrified of going there because we had a terrible incident in our family recently. So, yeah.
Yeah. And some big loves out there for Saj. They've had, all the things that you hear of in South Africa of people being taken and things like that. Saj, on top of the busy terms, had to navigate that with family. And alhamdulillah, family have been returned.
Yeah, but I mean, it's terrifying that we have to walk around with bodyguards. It's like ridiculous.
Absolutely.
Oh, it was awful, Anamat. A young girl, my niece was taken, 17 years of age, and she was taken for 3 weeks. Oh. And they asked for ransom. Yeah, it was horrific. It was horrific. Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
So now Saj is walking back to see family and to be a part of that. So, yeah. So, Okay,
But
and
Cam might find me moving to his side of the world one of these days.
Sasha's looking at Australia, Kim. Sasha's looking at Australia.
Excellent.
And now you've got my husband planning a holiday to Singapore.
I have, and he needs
Yeah.
a good break.
He can go.
So
He can go. I was looking at flights today,
he can
and
go. I like
I
that.
get-
You give him.
he said to me, "Are you coming?" I said, "No, I'm not. I don't want to go. Go and do your bloke time with Sam. With Cam. I don't want to go." So
Very good.
I'm going to Italy, and I'm going to sit in 2 weeks in Italy. I'm like Condedri into coming to Italy with me. And you can go and do your bloke stuff. I'm not doing it. So yeah. Anyway, team, enjoy the holidays that have come and some time out, and we'll catch up in a month or so and see how you're going. All right.
Absolutely.
Thanks
See
for
ya.
joining today. Awesome work.
Take care, everyone.
Ka kite. Ciao, ciao. Master Lama,
Bye.
bye.